they've done the best they could with what they had, right? And they made it work enough for me and my siblings to exist anyway, right? And for that I'm thankful. But coming from that, like really, really bottom, right? That gives people like me and you, children of immigrants, that unquenchable hunger and drive to be something, to do something more than what they say we can be or what we can do, right? Drivers Mate Podcast or Drivers Mate Podcast. Yeah, we still got to whisper, right? Because it is a secret, but it's not at the same time. Like more and more people are actually clocking on to the show and what we're doing. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to whisper in the future, or maybe we're going to have to come up with some code language so people know what's going on when we do what we're doing, right? But I don't know, man. But yeah, the reason I initially started whispering, because really it is a secret, and to like the haters and the weirdos and stuff, they whisper about what we do over here as well. So yeah, it's just imagine, because it is actually real, I'm a real person and a real fan, really at work saying things that I probably shouldn't say, right? You just have to look at it like this. This is what would happen, right, if the Truman Show was filming, which it is, right? But Truman clocked onto the Truman Show being filmed and decided, actually, I'm going to make my own Truman Show inside of the Truman Show. That's what Drivers Mate Podcast is, right? And I know it sounds a bit crazy to you if you're the first time, if this is your first time viewing this, but you'll understand in time, right? And if not, I would advise you go back, check out season 2, season 1, right, and you'll understand what I'm talking about, right? So in the future, who knows what the future holds? But yeah, man, what is today? Another damn work day, right? We work so hard, man, as men and women in this world, in this country, right? I'm an Englishman, I'm in England, right? We work so flipping hard, man. And it's not just like, I mean, yeah, everybody works hard, but there's people like me and you who are ambitious, right? We don't just work to go on a holiday once a year, or, you know, to say that we've got a house and all that. No. People like me and you are ambitious, and because we're so ambitious, we've sacrificed so much, right? So much relationships, potential happiness, parties, you know, all kinds of things, like, and even sometimes bad things like networking and stuff like that, we miss out on, right? Because we're bloody workaholics, right? And if we're not working on our actual job, our 9 to 5, we're working on our entrepreneurial ideas, right? Our creative ventures, our working on ourselves with self-development, right? Reading books, writing stuff, exercising, eating healthy, right? And all of those things, they don't just happen, right? You have to learn about those things and then procure the best way of doing those things over time, right? So they don't just happen by accident that you become a person of ambition. No, like, it starts when you're really young, and you're like, for me, in my position, I know it's not like a typical sub story and that, right? But I really did come from nothing, right? My family were very poor, lower working class people, right? So we really had less. And even on the family tree branch on my mum's side and my dad's side, right? Them two come together, right? Ironically, because my mum's name is Juliet, right? But they are literally like the Romeo and Juliet of the two family trees, right? Because on both sides of my family, they are successful, like, very rich people, right? And very intelligent people on both sides, right? But the idea that my mum is who she was and my dad is who he was, right, coming together, was like absolute rebellion from both sides. It's really a Romeo and Juliet story, ironically, right? Ooh, Shakespearean, right? Everyone would love to say that, but it's actually that, right? And because of that, them issues on both sides, my immediate family was less well off than all the other families, all the other cousins, all the other uncles, and that, on all that, on both sides, right? And they made that choice, right, as young people, right? Because remember, both my parents are immigrants, right? So you've got to understand from that perspective, West Indian immigrants, right? At a young age, they made that choice, right, to rebel. But not only rebel, they were going to actually have to come out into the world, the harsh world that is England, right, after they left the West Indies, and forge a way for themselves. Now, not to take anything away from them, because they've done the best they could with what they had, right, and they made it work enough for me and my siblings to exist anyway, right? And for that, I'm thankful. But coming from that, like, really, really bottom, right, that gives people like me and you, children of immigrants, that unquenchable hunger and drive to be something, to do something more than what they say we can be or what we can do, right? And I don't know if that is a shared thing, but I feel like when I speak to other children of immigrants, they have that same kind of mindset, right? But me, as an individual child in my immediate family, my mentality, right, my actions, the way I move through life I'm more of a throwback to my grandparents' generation in terms of how I think and how I move, right? So on my mum's side, my grandpa and my grandma, they had a lot of business venture, right? A lot of business acumen. They opened shops, they bought houses, they worked in Florida, America, all kinds of things, right? Two Jamaican people that put in the work, right? They were really disciplined when it came to working. Now, obviously, I'm not dissing my family or anything, right? Because why would I? But they, with that ambition and that really strong work ethic, of course they sacrificed time with their kids and all other things until they were older and they had time, right? But that's what comes with that ambition, right? And on my dad's side, it's the same thing, right? My grandma on my dad's side was highly religious, right? And the reason she was born into indentured servitude, right? Just think about that. That's like 2 generations away, right? So her mother and her grandmother would have been slaves, right? Over in Africa, I think Sierra Leone, and later on in Aruba, right? Indentured servitude, right? So on my grandma's side, on my dad's side, it is very religious, very like hard-working, salt of the earth people, right? And then his dad, right, who's like my granddad, right? I never got to meet, right, because he died before I was born. But from what I've heard of him, from what I've looked at, right, he's like a Western. I don't know if you could say, you know what people say, coolie, but he's not dark skinned like South Asian coolie. Like he looks like a Pakistan man, right? I know it sounds crazy to say that, but if you actually see how my dad's family look, right, they're light skinned West Indian people, right? So anyway, not to get too much into my personal history, because you care, right? But anyway, he did a lot of personal business ventures as well, right? He was a technician. He literally built his own house, not once but twice, right? Literally, right? And he also worked in Germany and he did other things, right? I think he helped with some kind of technician job in World War II or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not absolutely clear, so I don't want to give the wrong information to my cousins and I'll be like, no, mate, it's right? Yeah, obviously, my parents are both dead, so I can't just bring them up and be like, am I right about this, right? All I've got to go on is what they told me as a kid, right, that I can remember. But that aside, right, me as an individual, I'm more of a throwback to my grandparents on both sides, right? With my discipline, with my work ethic, with my entrepreneurial ideas, right? And of course I get the creativity from my dad's side, and I get the discipline and the economical thinking from my mum's side, right? And I know it sounds weird to hear a man say that, but that is actually the reality of it, right? Those things is what culminate into family structures and the upbringing and the mentalities of different people, right? And just like that, how you understood what I'm saying, you understand being the child of an immigrant of people who migrated off their own accord, right, mind you, right? They never came on Windrush, right? They never did none of that, right? They got plane tickets, they got boat tickets, and they did their own thing. They came to England and they worked hard, right? And they set up for their generations and all that. But like I said, my mum and my dad were both rebellious, bad kids, right? They weren't bad, but they were rebellious for their time, right? Because you got to think, and when they were here, I think it was early 60s, things were very much different here, right? So, and they had their own culture, right? The youth, the black immigrant youth of England, right, in the 60s and the 70s had it much harder, much different struggles they had to fight and combat against, right? So their whole generation existed in like in an unspoken civil rights struggle in Britain, right? Because people would believe right now, right, that England was always just accepting of black people, right? And I know if you speak to Asian people, they would tell you the same thing, right? When they got here in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, man, they had to fight hard to get everything they got, right? Same thing with my parents and all that, and their grandparents, and their parents too, yeah? So with that in mind, right, with that knowing of that ambition and that drive to do something great, right, is always been within me, right? That's why I know I've sacrificed a lot, right, but I understand what it takes. I sacrificed so much time to be great, right, in different arenas, be a creative, be business minded, right? So I can't complain. Like when you might hear me say, right, I ain't got time to find a girlfriend, right? I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to have busy, right? It's because I'm committed to building this thing, this empire, this idea, this business over here, creative thing over here, working a 9 to 5, looking after my health, right? Looking after my family, right? Because you need strong pillars like me if you lose your parents, right? Because what about your other siblings? Who are they going to look to if they need help, right? And their kids and the uncles and the cousins and all of that, right? They need people like me to be on job, right? So when things go bad, they've got someone to call, right? And that's my own ego and responsibility, or you could just say man business, right? But yeah, that is what it is, right? So with all this in mind, I'm as ambitious as I am, right? I'm still not at the level that I want to be, right? And you've got to remember, I'm self-taught. Everything I know, I have to find out. I've learned for myself through trial and error, right? Things that other people in life where they'd just be given it, right? They would apprentice under their parents, or they've got a rich uncle they can go and learn with and study with, and then when they're ready to do something, they can get finance and all of that. No, none of that is available to me, was ever available to me, right? Everything I done myself, right? Even down to this show, the way it's filmed, when it's filmed, how it's edited, how it's uploaded, all learning, trial and error, right? Over into the music industry side of things that I do, all self-taught, learn, trial and error, right? Down to things like this, all learn, trial and error, right? So, yes, I'm ambitious, but I understand that I've sacrificed a lot to be able to be successful, and I accept that, right? So if it means being lowly but rich, I can deal with that, right? I got money. When I'm done being a workaholic, if I will ever be able to be done being a workaholic, I know I can just go to my bank account and then just go live there's a on Puff Daddy's album, right, on Money Making Mitch, there's a skit, yeah, and he's like it's like this voice anyway, and he's just like, it's basically just like the man's version of a happily ever after, right? And it's what you would aspire to live, right? That is basically what my life is going to be like when I decide to be done with working hard, right? Because I won't have to work anymore. And it's not bragging, it's not boasting, it's a lot of hard work to be able to get to that point. But that is the goal, right? And at the same time, I have aspirations to do things like Kanye. I have aspirations to do things like Virgil. I have aspirations to do things like Dame Dash. I know these are all music industry kind of people, but from a mogul's perspective, right, or Jay-Z's perspective, it's an umbrella with all of these things under it. That's what it means to be independent to an extent, right? Now, in my lifetime, I've taken my independence probably to the extreme where there was a time in life where maybe I just had the wrong people around me, right? And I thought I could trust them and I couldn't, right? They were backstabbers, betrayers, terrible business people, just terrible people in general, right? Looking back on it now, I was like, wow, why couldn't I see the signs? Hey, I was young, right? But there you go, right? You get what you get. But after that point in life, I probably took it independence to its extreme, right? Done everything myself, never asked for help. And maybe I get a bit of that from my parents too, right? They were very much independent minded as well, with their own philosophies on life and their own business acumen as well, the things that they've done in the music industry. And like, for instance, right, my mum and dad built a label for my dad's reggae band, right? And that's one side of things, right? But before that, my mum and her friends and her daughters, right, created a thing called Nubian Women, right? And I was just a little kid at this time. But what that was about was like teaching kids black history, right? They took us to Egyptian museums and stuff. They took us on actual field trips and taught us things, right? And they put that all together themselves, right? They done one of the biggest stage shows that have ever happened in my estate, right? And my mum and my dad and their friends put that together, right? Just think about watching that as a kid before, I think maybe I was in the first year of high school when that event happened, right? If a kid sees stuff like that growing up, right, they know actually there's another way, right? I can do something that all of these people around me don't believe is possible. I've seen my parents do it, so I know it's possible, right? Do you see the knock-on effect of that generational independence and entrepreneurship, right? And that's the same kind of thing I want to pass on to my kids, right? And the younger generations that surround my family tree, right? They need to know we don't have to work this way. There's another way, right? And our bloodline is very creative, ingenuitive, and inventing. it's possible, right? And I know that I'm being very personal, but I know for a lot of you watching and listening, your life is very much the same, right? You've probably got a granddad or an uncle or someone that has put in that kind of work, and you look to and say, yeah, look, it's possible, right? Look what he did. I can do something like that too. I don't have to do it this way. But yeah, but yet, with that in mind, it is a sacrifice, right? And like I said, I sacrifice relationship, I sacrifice time with my family, I sacrifice time with my parents, all of that, right? But just to get past that ignorant adolescent stage of just rebelling and doing dumb stuff, right? Fucking around in the street, right? Fucking about with women and stuff, right? You know what kids do, right? But to get through all of that to the other side and actually be self-determined and disciplined, responsible, and just, you know, have your head screwed on, right? That was my own willpower, that was my own drive, because everyone around me did not want to go down that road, right? And if I look at all of my friend group from then now, none of them are even close to having their head screwed on and in a financially stable place or a creative freedom kind of space, right? They're all still in that spiral of how society would want you to be, right? And I know it sounds mad what I'm saying, right? And if they do hear this and listen to this, they might be like, bro, who do you think you are, right? But then I would say to them, ask yourself this, right? At the point on our journey when me and you were friends and I went off this way and you went off that way, right? Can you see the difference in our outcomes now, right? Looking back, and the fact that you're watching something that you're once brethren, or I'm not against no one, you know what I mean? I don't have any enemies or hate for you, right? I'm just apart on a different path, right? But just think about that, the fact that you're able to watch something that, even if you hate me or hate what I'm doing, that a guy that you used to be friends with created, right? You got to think about that, right? It's a difference in mentality and it's a difference in pathways, right? But nothing against anybody, because everyone has their own walk in life. But you have to understand what I'm saying, right? Everyone around me, even in my own family, my own friends, right? None of them have the same drive, the creativity, the ambition that I have, right? So for me to stay around them and keep trying to teach them and keep trying to bring them in, I was only wasting more time dragging myself down, right? So I had to separate from that arena of my life. Now, of course, I'm in that strange zone where I'm trying to find other people like me, other ambitious, creative, business-minded people, right? And just genuinely good people that abide by the same kind of principles and morals and traditions that I do, right? Because yeah, like I said, there's that, you get all of that instilled in you up to a certain age, and then you get fed into the school system, and then you get indoctrinated by the school, the media, your friends, and the stupid shit that their parents taught them that they rub off onto you because they influence you, right? All of that shit happens, right, in that period of from, let's say, from junior school to college, right? That's that period of time, right? But after that period of time, the responsibility is on you, right, to go back to what was instilled in you before you started to fuck up in life, right? And I know I say it kind of raw, but it's real, right? If you don't go back to those traditions, or I know I'm making it sound like very conservative, but at the same time, to an extent, it does have conservative, family-orientated elements to it, right? What I'm saying, right? It's your own responsibility at that point, right, to not stay on that indoctrinated path of just doing whatever, like going wherever the wind blows, following your friends, following this trend, doing drugs, drinking, any old girl, right? You know what I'm saying? It takes responsibility, and that is why the pathways for most of me and my people split off like that, because I didn't want to carry on that way, right? I foresaw what comes with that. I looked at the generation above me, I looked at the cousins and the uncles and the brothers and the sisters, you know what I'm saying, the brethrens, the olders and the ends. I saw what that path entails, right? And it's not what I want for myself, right? I want what my grandparents envisioned for me, right? Do you understand? So yeah, I know that's quite a spiral, right? And I've gone really too deep into my own personal issues and all that, but I hope just by me speaking on it from a surface point of view like this, you understand, right? Because everything you see me doing now, right, is really just the ideas and the second iteration of all the things I tried and experimented with as a teenager, right? Content creation, music creation, speaking, public speaking, brand creation, right? all business ethics I had as a child, right? I just neglected it through that period of junior school, high school, and college, right? And I came back around as an adult, right? And said, actually, young man, you were on the ball, right? But you were influenced by all of these other people and all these other things, which made you a step behind everybody. But mentally, creatively, idea-wise, you're ahead of most of your generation, right? I'm not being big-headed, but if I could see a kid today the same age as I was then, see him doing the things I was doing then, I'd be like, yeah, he knows, right? He's up on the shit, right? He gets it, right? That's what it means to take this responsibility on the adult end of it. Yeah. So just like that, yeah. Maybe I may fall down in my communications aspect with other individuals. People might have a certain perception of me that I'm not aware of, or maybe they have a perception of me based on one moment in my life or their interactions with someone else that knows me, right? Whoever, right? You're different people to different people, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's that, and as a grown man, as an adult, I can honestly say I don't give a fuck what you think, right? But the truth is the truth. Let my actions speak how I move through life, right? That discipline, that work ethic, that creativeness, that entrepreneurial mindset, I just hope that rubs off on you and the next generation, right? Now, with all my windbagging, talking rubbish, right, about my own personal reality, let's have some fun now, right? Yeah?
To actually talk to Bud 2 times, right? Number one, I like that when he gets hit, he get angry. Yeah, I like that, right? Because that's how I am. When I get hit, I get angry. As you know, you hit me, boom, and I have to feel something.
You get too angry with me.
I didn't have to get too angry, but I did. I got angry enough to adjust your headgear and make your eyes. I did touch your jaw, but that's another thing. But both of them are really skilled fighters. And I got to talk to Chaz, and I was like, I like the fact that, I like the way he kind of broke away from his promoter. I like how he get mad in the ring. I just like how he fight.
Yeah.
But I never really got to talk to Spence.
Yeah.
But I always thought he's dead nice now. He not to be played with. And to be honest, when people were like, who's going to win the fight? I was like, because I know Terrence, or I got to meet him, I was leaning more toward him because I'm like, he seemed like the real deal.
Well, right, what was that? That was a Dame Dash clip, right? I think he's talking about Errol Spence and what's his name? And Crawford's fight, right? I didn't see all of that fight, right? Like I said, if you know me, you know, like I just told you how ambitious I was and am growing up, right? I'm very casual when it comes to sports and things of that nature because I have other interests, right? So I saw clips and highlights of that Errol Spence fight, right? But let's not talk about that point of it, right? Because it's not a boxing podcast, a sport podcast anyway, right? But what he was saying, that still, it comes back to ambition, right? That fact that he was saying he gets angry when he gets hit, right? And he goes harder, right? That's the same kind of thing, right? That we was talking about in principle, right? So let's just think about it like this. In business, you have to strategize, right? But as a creative, there's a separation. So a creative will approach your business like, hey, I've got this great idea, let me try this idea in whatever iteration I can create it, right? But now, once a creative puts this thing in the world, it then belongs to the world, right? So then the world's going to critique it, right? And other oppositions to the creative, so let's just look at creative A and creative B as two boxes, right? And then promoter of creative A and creative B are industry 1, music business, industry 2, fashion business, right? Just for example, right? So yeah, the creator of the initial product is going to be like, put this out in the world now I've got opposition. People want to break down my creation, right? So they're going to come at me as a hater, right? So let's just say your haters your opposition, right? And they're also creative that wants their product to be where your product is, right? Let's just look at it like that. So yeah, they're going to attack your thing, they're going to attack your brand, they're going to attack you as an individual, right? And then there's two types of people. There's people that get angry and let their emotions spiral them out of control, so they lose track of what they're meant to be doing in the ring, right, and outside of the ring. Then there's a type of person that lets their emotion ignite that same drive and an ambition, and they strategize, right? They pick apart their opponent's flaws better. They readjust. They get clarity mid-fight, right? And it's the same thing in business and creativity, right? You can let that hate or that opposition repel you from what it is you want to achieve, or you can let it propel you. Now, I know I'm not being very precise with what I'm saying. It's just off the cuff. But yeah, you when you get hit, you take a hit in business, you take a loss, or you get a little bit of libel or slander against you or your brand, right? You can either take that as, I've been hit, right, and they scored a point, or you can be like, actually, now I know exactly where your jab's coming, right, and when to time it and slip you and give you a nice hook, right? You can look at it like that and strategize around it, right? Now let me Tai Chi my opponent, right? Let me Wing Chun him, let me bring him in like judo and push him back out, right? Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So from that point of view, I get it, right? It's a certain mentality, a certain discipline that translates into other things, right? That fluidity, but also that strategic mind to actually adjust mid-business, adjust mid-creativity, right? I know I'm just I don't know what the right word is, right? I'm freestyling, yeah. I'm a freestyling thing, yeah. Anyway, yeah. That is quite surface, right? So let's give this another try, right? We don't usually do this, but hey, let's see what else is out there. Who you got?
40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I've kept God in my life and has kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for wisdom. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already, and anything you want, you can have.
Okay, right, so there's a lot going on there, right? From a religious aspect, but what he's actually doing there, if you're up on game, right, he's mixing two philosophies, right? He's mixing religious connotations of God, yeah, with the gospel of prosperity, right? Now, if you know this show, you know we've covered this already, right, multiple times, because for some reason YouTube's algorithm loves to give me things like this, right? Shit, let's call it an echo chamber. Yeah, right? But yeah, he's conflating two things there, right? And that can be problematic, but it can also be good if you can be objective and look at it and say, alright, I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to inspire me. He's trying to motivate me. Now, as of late, in recent years, obviously, growing up, we never really got to see Denzel Washington speak as a person outside of his acting roles, right? But more and more recently, he's been talking a lot more, right? But and we're slightly starting to notice he's quite or appears to be quite religious, or he's on a crusade kind of vibe, right? To push God more in his agenda. I don't know why, but hey, Hollywood is Hollywood, right? Some people might say, actually, Denzel, it's ironic that you would say you're such a Christian person, but so much Satanism is happening in your industry and in the people that make your films and all that. But that's conspiracy talk, right? On both sides of the aisle, right? But politically, you got your left and your right, right? But hey, that's neither here nor there, right? Now, I get what he's saying. It's good messaging. But personally, I can see where he's conflating two different things, right? He's using this like new agey universe response to what you desire and what you think, right? And he's conflating that with religious teachings of what God wants for you, and you know, it's really nonsense, but it makes people feel good, right? So there's that, right? I can't really diss the man for being positive, right? Because it's positive, but objectively, as someone, like I just said, has that contrast in growing up, right? I have a very religious grandparent, and then I have other people in my life which are more pragmatic and thinkers, right? That can see actually the base of this stuff doesn't make sense, right? And anyway, I'm walking in the middle, right? Let's just say like that. I know you mustn't walk on the fence religiously, but hey, the argumentation for God is as much lacking as it is in proof, right? So I know I'm really spiraling here, but not to degrade what the man has said. There's not positive proof for God, and there's not negative proof for God. It's all subjective, right? It's just people's beliefs and their ideas, their philosophies, that they speak so convincingly that it sounds like real facts, but it's not, right? It's just objective viewpoints from individuals' lives, right? So with that in mind, yeah, I'd say let's just take what he says as from a positive activation or active place, and just act on the grace that is reality, right? And our luck and our good fortune to be alive and have another chance to work it is whatever it is that we want, right? And hey, going back to the things that spiel I was saying in the beginning, maybe my own ambition has forced me to sacrifice that connection with religion and deity and other things, right? Maybe that is the case, or maybe my research, my study, and my want for knowing has brought me to a place where I'm not afforded that ignorant innocence anymore, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? I know a bit too much now, so I can't just blindly be like, yeah, man, God's gonna save us, right? Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Abraham, Moses is gonna save us. I can't, right? I can't come from that ignorant place anymore, because I've seen too much. I know too much, right? And I know it sounds like I'm talking like, who the fuck do you know, bro? But yeah, I kind of do know a bit too much in that realm of existence because of other areas of my life that I won't get into, right? But I know a bit. But I can take the positive from everybody, right? Something to learn from everybody in everybody's walk of life, right? So yeah, right? Just imagine like Full Metal Alchemist, right? Where I forget their names, right? But when the two brothers end up in that space where they go into like the little world between the world, and the truth is there in the gate, right? Once you open up that truth, right, it's problems, right? That's why at the end of the whole show they had to acknowledge, all right, I'm giving back all the magic, right? Because there was never a need for me to open that door in the first place. I opened the door for my own ego, right? And now religion and occult stuff and all of that stuff resides within those doors, right? So once you understand where I'm coming from, you understand that, hey, I'm just going to take what he's saying as a positive thing, that he's just trying to motivate people to be better people, which is fine. If it has a good knock-on effect, then it's good, right? But if you get too entrenched in that, only bad can come of it, right? You end up losing your arm, you end up losing your brother, man, to your thoughts and your opinions and your beliefs, right? Instead of just doing what the right thing is to do from the beginning, right? But anyway, that was a tangent, wasn't it? But yeah, it's one of them days, bruv. It's the Saturday after the Friday that you saw, right? So I'm not really locked in as I should be, like I am during the midweek, right? I'm not, right? I'm very drained, I'm very tired, I'm working hard, up late nights, working after work, all of that, right? Because I want to make something of myself as a child of an immigrant, and I want you to make something of yourself as just an individual out there in the world, whether you be from immigrants or Aboriginal, right? I don't care, right? It's your job to be the greatest version of you can possibly be, right? And take what Dame Dash was saying about adjusting and getting hit, feeling angry and saying, nah, I'm not gonna have it, and then bam, I'm gonna make this business, gonna create this, I'm gonna bam, 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 nothing is gonna stop me, right? Take that from Dame Dash, what he was saying, right? And take from Denzel Washington the humility, the humbleness, the grace of being alive and having a chance and believing in whatever it is you believe, right? Whatever superpower you believe in, universe you believe in, and taking that energy and that thought, pouring that into your humanity, right? And your empathy and your love for other people, right? Use both of them things. That arrogant, ignorant drive and that humble humility drive, right? Bring it together and be as ambitious and creative and as idealistic, inventing, positive you could be as a human being, right? And if there's anything to take away from this whole long podcast, make it be that, right? Be the best person you could be, both from arrogant place and from a humble place, right? Know when to switch them on and off. But yeah, at CNC CMI is my main channel. If you go over there and check it out, you might enjoy more content over there, and it's not so much chewing your ear off, it's more bite-sized things you can take away and practically use, right? And if you're interested in music industry and creative ventures, over there, right? I'm not going to say too much about this, right? But I would ask you, what do you think it means, right? There's that. And if this was your first time watching this, please try not to judge the whole show base of this podcast. Every episode has been different up till now. We are in season 3. Now, if for some reason this is your first time seeing this and you're seeing it on YouTube, you should probably acknowledge the fact, I should probably make you aware that you're watching on YouTube schedule, which is 2 to 3 years behind real time creating of this show, right? So if you want to see the seasons in real time, if you want to catch up on what's happened already and why it's like this now, right, you need to go to Patreon and look at Driver's Mate or Driver's Mate podcast. You can get access to all the seasons in real time as I make them, and the old seasons, right? Things that YouTube hasn't got, right? Things that Spotify and whatever it is you listen to your podcast don't have available to you, right? Funny stuff, creative stuff, and teachable stuff, right? So yeah, catch me on all social medias, whatever one you decide to use, I'm probably on there, right? So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you watching, right? I appreciate you spending time with me as an individual doing whatever it is you're doing in life, and I hope that I could motivate you a little bit to either be absolutely against me and everything I said, or be with me and be willing to walk this kind of lonely road, but me and you are connecting as people now because we've walked our walk, right? We've talked our talk and we've walked our walk, right? So we'll connect as a community in the future. I know we will, right? Because we are all like-minded. So yeah, I hope this can evolve you as a human being to do better and be better and get the best out of life that you could possibly get. But know that there is another way, right? There's an old reggae song, right? And it's called Party Time. And it goes, we've got to live some life before we're old, yeah? Okay? Go listen to that song. It's a good song. The rest of it's good, right? And in the song he says, you can't work your soul away. Remember, there's another way, right? Anyway, Driver's Mate Podcast. Driver's Mate Podcast. Have a nice day. See you later.